Hi, this is Mrs. Yamamoto, and today we're going to be talking about square numbers and square roots. Take, for example, 2 to the power of 2. We know that that's the same thing as multiplying 2 by 2. And I would get 4. So 2 squared is a square number. The square root of a number is when I use what's called a radical sign. And let's say I have the number 4 underneath the radical sign. I would call this the square root of 4. I know that the square root of 4 is the same thing as the square root of 2 times 2. So the square root is going to be 2. So to summarize here at the bottom, if you square 2, you get 4. So if I square 2, I'm going to get 4. And if I take the square root of 4, I'm going to get 2. So square numbers and square roots are opposites of each other. So let's look at square numbers and perfect square roots on a chart. When we're talking about square numbers, we want to think multiply that number by itself 2 times. So 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 2 is 4. So we're multiplying the number by itself 2 times. 3 times 3 is 9, and so forth. 5 times 5 is 25. 6 times 6 is 36. 7 times 7 is 49. 8 times 8 is 64. 9 times 9 is 81. 10 times 10 is 100. 11 times 11 is 121. 12 times 12 is 144. And 13 times 13 is 169. Then we're going to look at square roots. With square roots, we want to think what number multiplied by itself 2 times is that number. So 1 times 1 gives us 1. 2 times 2 gives us 4. So what number multiplied by itself gives us the number underneath the radical sign? 3 times 3 gives us 9. 4 times 4 gives us 16. 5 times 5 gives us 25. 6 times 6 gives us 36. 7 times 7 gives us 49. 8 times 8 gives us 64. And so forth. So the inverse operation of squaring a number is finding the square root. And later on we're going to talk more about how we can undo an exponent with a radical. Remember, a radical refers to this symbol here. Sometimes we have radicals that have what's called an index. Sometimes we have an index of 3. And these examples here, these have an index of 2. Although we don't see the 2, they have an index of 2. So let's go ahead and try and simplify here. So what we're going to do is start off by looking at our first question, number 1, the square root of 4. So I know this has an index of 2. So what number multiplied by itself 2 times, because it's an index of 2, gives us 4? That number would be 2. 2 times 2 gives us 4, which means that the square root of 4 is going to be 2. So in this set of examples here, this part is important for you to write out. And here is our answer. So go ahead and take a moment and see if you can try number 2. Remember, this has an index of 2. What number multiplied by itself 2 times gives us 81? That would be 9 times 9. So that means that the square root of 81 is equal to 9. What number multiplied by itself 2 times is going to be 256? That would be 16. 16 times 16 is 256. So the square root of 256 is 16. What about the square root of 121? What number multiplied by itself 2 times gives us 121? That would be 11. So the square root of 121 is 11. So see if you can complete these questions right over here. Indicate what number is being multiplied by itself and find your answer. Same thing for numbers 7. What number multiplied by itself gives us 324? What number multiplied by itself gives us 1? What number multiplied by itself gives us 64? After you've solved those questions, let's go ahead and look at number 10, 11, and 12. So when we have a square root over a fraction, this is equivalent to saying the square root of 1 divided by the square root of 16. So what do I know about the square root of 1? I know that the square root of 1 is the same thing as saying the square root of 1 times 1, and that the square root of 16 is the same thing as 4 times 4. Since 1 times 1 is 1 and 4 times 4 is 16. So how does it simplify? Well, the square root of 1 is going to be equal to 1. The square root of 16 is going to be equal to 4. So my answer is 1/4. Next, we're going to look at the square root of 9 divided by the square root of 100. So I break this down as a square root of 9 divided by the square root of 100. I know that this is the same thing as the square root of 3 times 3. And I know that the square root of 100 is the same thing as the square root of 10 times 10. So see if you can figure out how to simplify your answer as a fraction. Alright, don't forget to try the last question, the square root of 25 divided by the square root of 49. So when you see a radical sign, the square root of 25 over 49, that's the same thing as saying the square root of 25 divided by the square root of 49. So see if you can solve this question. Good luck!